Joining us now is Victor Avila. He's a former ICE agent who worked for ICE when Tom Homan was acting director. He knows Tom Homan very well. Victor, great to have you on the show. So what do you make of the fact that several mayors from cities like New York City, San Francisco, Boston, at least, some mayors have come out and said they won't cooperate with the administration's plans for mass deportations? Denver's mayor said, "You can throw me in jail." And then Tom Homan said in an interview, "Okay, I'll throw you in jail." Do you think he'd actually do that?
I think he actually would do it. And it's mind-boggling to me, Elizabeth, that someone would oppose that type of enforcement that would benefit their community. We're talking about going after criminal illegal aliens that have caused, especially Denver and Aurora, Colorado, where the Agua gang members have taken over apartment complexes. What's wrong with doing that type of enforcement and helping what the community has been asking for? And I believe Tom Homan will do it. And let me tell you, he said this, and I've enforced this law as well. 8 U.S.C. 1324, harboring and keeping illegal aliens from law enforcement authorities is a felony. It's a federal felony. And I don't know why these elected officials would want to be against that. And I don't want it to come down to that, but they might end up finding themselves in handcuffs.
I'm not sure legally that can actually happen. There are some laws, but I think most of these states' governors and cities' mayors aren't objecting to ICE rounding up criminals. I think they're starting to object to when you start rounding up men, women, and children who have been here for years and are working at the poultry plant down the street or something like that. Do you see any difference between people who are here committing crimes and people who are here working?
Absolutely. There's a big difference. And I'm glad you said that, because you cannot put illegals, undocumented people, all in one category. It would be a grave mistake to do that. Even though they all came in here illegally, okay, we know that that's the case, but it's not the same when you have terrorists, illegal alien terrorists, criminal gang members, cartel members that are illegal. You cannot compare that to the person that possibly is only here working and not committing additional crimes. Absolutely, you have to separate that and put those people in different categories. Those are not going to be the priority under the Trump administration at first. We have to go. There's plenty to choose from. Aside from the criminal illegal aliens, we have over 1 million illegals that are walking around with an actual deportation order issued by an immigration judge that never left the country. We got to go find them as well.
But I ask Victor, because Tom Homan has vowed to deport all those people who are undocumented and are simply working a job. He's even said if some of those people had children who would be American citizens according to current law, that the children could be deported too if they didn't want to separate the family.
I think the point here is we need to put the accountability on the undocumented individual as well. For some reason, they have kind of been excused, but they also took that decision to come into the country illegally. And when it comes to the separation of children, this is what I say. This is what I would recommend: is that the decision's got to be placed, and the burden has to be placed on the burden, not on the federal government. The parent is going to decide whether or not they are going to separate themselves from their children. What the Trump administration, and what I understand from what Tom Homan wants to do, is if you want to take your U.S. citizen children with you, great. The U.S. government will help you and take them along with you. We don't want to cause that separation, but it's up to the parent to make that decision. I did it many times in my career. 100% of the time, I never took the children with the parent. It was a terrible thing to do, but we had to make many arrangements with the children, sometimes with CPS and state officials, because there was no family member to leave them with. So it's a very delicate situation, but we have to put the responsibility on the parent themselves, something that I think has been overlooked in the last several years.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.